Hello everyone, and welcome back to the final video in our class meeting for session 2. So in this video we're just we're going to take some questions, and we're just general discussion. It's going to be so awesome, Zach, down the line, the future, to look back at these videos. And I can imagine if we had done this when we were putting the MMO tech together, even where we stopped the MMO tech, if I would have looked back and we would have seen hundreds of videos leading all the way up to what we had developed, that would have brought a tear to my eye. I can't wait till we get to that point.
Yes.
So, as Zach was just talking a second ago about homework, because Mr. Matt CSCZ, who says he needs to change his name now, which I did catch that earlier, sir, says, give me homework. And
oh yeah, by all means, if you guys are in the IRC, please use a name that we can pronounce really well, and you'll get called by name a lot more easily.
No, I like actually being able to see their... no, don't say sorry. I like being able to see their usernames.
Sure.
There's so many people that are in the class.
Oh no, you misunderstand me.
That I've
change it all.
Oh, change it all. That I've gotten to know personally over the years, and that's been and it's just so cool seeing so many names with people that I now personally know.
Yeah.
And I hope to get to know as many of you as possible as we all progress forward with the MMO class. We have lost about 3 students so far. But overall, that's not bad. Those seats were
for all kinds of reasons.
Yeah, for different reasons. But those seats were immediately filled, and there's still, I think, another 5 or 6 at the moment on a waiting list that at this time is being managed by poor Angela. But anyways, so yeah.
Anyway,
well, all right, back to homework. I did give homework.
Yeah,
and that was for people to, if possible, watch the previous videos that were put up dealing with Lee's R&D stuff, and so now would be an excellent time to
pop quiz
to let anybody ask questions in regards to those videos, or to say that they have, here's some ideas or anything. Crash asks, does member sponsorship auto-renew? Yes, if it's...
I think there's a couple of circumstances under which it won't. Say you're paying by check every month.
Yeah,
like something you have arranged with Angie, but if you're using PayPal or Google or Amazon, it should.
Yeah, those should do it. And if they don't, Angie is such a sweetheart. She always writes people if something happens. And lets them know first. So make sure you let 3D Buzz email through, so it doesn't just go straight to spam, because of course that happens a lot with members from 3D Buzz. But but anyways, she's a sweetheart. When your thing expires, she doesn't yank you out immediately. She does her best to get in touch with you to make sure that you don't want to renew. I got an email this morning that Google Checkout had renewed me. There you go.
There you go.
So let me go and switch back over to attendees over here. And Lee, you're still with us, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if anybody wants to raise their hand, and I can just let you talk, or if you want to ask the questions in the IRC itself, because Lee is in there, in regards to what's running through his crazy bald-headed mind, please do so in regards to the terrain system, or things
I have
that...
a question. I'll get out of the way now.
Or things that you might want to see with it, just because you may have an interesting suggestion. What's that, Zach?
Where'd the mouse go?
Oh, shut up! These VTMs are unrelated. Shut the hell up!
To get breakfast.
I'm going to go pencil a mouse in, right? I'll just use
Sweet.
After Effects and just do animation.
Actually, that would
curves.
be killer. Let me do it. I'll get a special cursor.
Oh, dear heavens.
The cursor will be a small animated film that will move around the screen.
And Razier points out that he's going to PM Angela soon. Actually, Razier, there's been a lot of people that have done that just to save on a couple of months and not have to worry about it. Okay, Lee, start reading. Voxel terrain lets you do overhangs and holes.
Well, there's a whole lot before that.
All right, start talking.
Go back. I'm trying to figure out where it gets left off. I keep getting ding. All right, I have a small question. When will we see the terrain generator CS and the other one explained? One, I get them rewritten and they work the way I want them to, so that the terrain generates across the patches seamlessly, then I will probably have a set of videos on how those were handled.
Probably my ass. We are going to have those videos. Because I want to see. I want to see how you're doing it because.
Heck yeah. Well, because you're having to code it. Never mind.
Yeah, that's true. I will have to code it. Sigfolt was asking light mapping. How am I going to solve that problem? I haven't really.
We've done some very light discussion on it because it is definitely one of the disadvantages with doing our own system like this. But we could get that geometry. Well, I'll let you talk.
Well, my current thought on it is there's been a couple of other scripts that I've seen floating around, and I think I played with one when I was first starting with L3DT to try to come up with a way of creating my own custom terrain meshes, and it was an OBJ exporter from Unity. So my current thought is to use something similar to that, or write my own variation that would take the meshes after they've been created by the artist and finalized, export those out as OBJs, bring them back into Unity, let Beast have a go at them, and then take the maps that Beast generates, save those out as files, and bring them back in.
Right.
So, which means I'll probably have to write some tools to automate that process, because I don't really want to do that with each and every single patch. That would be crazy.
Yeah, I hope you guys don't hate us for writing tools is going to be something that we're giant fans of. Unity is absolutely awesome, but doesn't provide us all of the flexibility we want to have available. I mean, first of all, most important. That's right. Zach can see my hand gestures here. If you want to use the terrain system and do some iOS stuff, you can't. Okay? And even if you could, very expensive draw calls, slow, with what was still a relatively large single patch before Lee started. Even when Lee did put a very simple algorithm in to set up multiple patches, not yet seamed, but very, very low draw call count, something that actually could be played back on an iPhone.
Right, and I think the moment we started sculpting the built-in terrain, our draw calls jumped up to over 100.
Yeah, but how much? At the same time, let's go in with a terrain of that size and put in some crazy hills and peaks like you had from your little generator, and we have well over 1,000 draw calls.
Oh yeah, for the platformer.
For using using the terrain system and all. When you start thinking about iOS. Then, well, look at that. Gavin even says I was seeing up to 1,600 calls in the snow terrain. I'm not at the moment. I mean, there's all sorts of tricks and things that we can apply, and at the moment, I'm not even saying that we're going to go down the iOS route for the actual MMO as we see it on our PCs and our Macs. Because we played with that originally with the MMO tech, and it got dumped out pretty quick because we wanted large worlds with this rich terrain and all. It ended up being something we just couldn't do. But if we start doing everything ourselves, that means we can start applying all of our own tricks, and maybe we can slowly bring it back into consideration, because we do have a license here for Unity or iOS Unity Pro or Advanced or whatever they call it these days. The names change so much, so we can start recording on the Mac as well, and take a look at getting things compiled and profiling both from inside of Unity, but also profiling from inside of Xcode, where that's going to be absolutely critical, because we've got to keep it fast if you're going to, take interest in moving something over to an iOS or an iPad or any sort of iOS. And I've got to say this. I see boo Mac. Come on, T-Gun. I used to be in the same boat as you guys and say boo to Mac, but I've done a lot of work with Xcode and Objective-C and even Unity over on my Mac, and I've been very pleased with it. Surprisingly so. So come on, don't be a hater.
Raziar says there'll be at least 20 more iterations of the iPad and iPhone by the time the MMO class is over anyway, so it'd be better technology, which means that'd be good. We'll be wrapped up by December then. Excellent.
Fantastic. Okay, sorry about that, Lee. So Tom also said profiling gets better in Unity 3.2. That's true. For those of you that have not yet got Unity 3.2, make sure you get it because we're doing all of our work from that now. Okay, back to you, Lee.
Yeah. Well, along with that, I think at one point when we switched it down to a single patch and we switched over the vertex lighting path, we ended up with like 4 draw calls. And that was with the character running around.
Yep, with shadows and all.
And it does spike up a little bit higher. And I think even a single patch, we were up in the 25-30, but that was deferred lighting, character, shadows, the whole 9 yards. So, and that's still, substantially less than what you get with their built-in terrain.
Oh, yeah.
Plus the fact that where I'm going with this terrain or planning on is doing something that you just can't do with Unity terrain, which is be able to punch holes through it. So.
That's very true. And that was actually brought up by Mr. J.J. Abrams a little earlier, if I recall. Sorry, man, that's his new name. Where they were talking about the overhangs and all, and he said unless, of course, you were to do your own mesh like inside of Max or Maya and then bring it over. And with what we talked about, I think it was yesterday, all the days just kind of blend together now. That is pretty much what we were, because that's kind of like the Unreal system. You can go and you can punch holes through, but then you basically you then surround static meshes, rocks, etc., or just design your cave system and plug it in. And that's pretty much where we were going with what we discussed last, right?
Yeah, I kind of had to make a command decision based on the specs that you gave me for what you wanted. And that is the fact that right now we're leaning towards an equally spaced grid based off of a height map. So we can't use voxel technology for it, simply because you want to be able to sculpt this with multiple artists in real time. Voxel geometry is 3-dimensional in nature, so the amount of storage and data that has to go back and forth across the network and stored goes up exponentially. It's crazy. Where if we keep it with a regular height map technique with vertex height maps, we can get away with very, very little as far as data packets going back and forth. So unfortunately, we don't get overhangs and we can't carve into the geometry, but we can allow holes to be cut out in the base terrain mesh, and then you can put in your own assets brought in from a 3-dimensional or the 3D package. And I know that for kids.
And I know to some of you guys, you may be thinking that, well, that doesn't sound like we're doing cutting edge here. Well, again, well, we never said we were going to be cutting edge. We're not a game studio with millions of dollars behind us. But still, again, I would really like to see it'll be like a game, basically, because we'll have to build it from within Unity. But building a tool from within Unity that allows for multiple people to work together in a very quick manner for painting and creating stuff real time. I'd like to, even if we don't use that in the end, I want to pull that off, dang it. Mac87, you have a good night, man.
Vector displacement maps, yeah, I know about them. I don't know how well and how deep you could do caves with them, though, because the way I understand them, it's just basically another map that is a displacement map, which allows you to push and pull your faces along their normal. I don't think that allows you to get too far off from the overall geometry. You can do a depression and insert, but I think you would actually break it apart if you tried to push something as deep as an entire cave system with forks inside of it, etc.
Now, I definitely don't mean to jump over other questions, but I just Mr. Wolf Knightley just said, how many people do you think will be able to fit in it at one time? Well, we're talking about getting the messages that are going to need to be passed around very small. So I actually think we might be able to cram a hell of a lot of people in. I mean, we wouldn't want to do that because it would be a mess.
Yeah, it's like 0.4 maybe. No, I'm thinking a lot more than that.
Oh yeah,
almost as much as you could support playing the game, but that would just be a rough guess based off what I'm thinking right now.
I like the way Tom thinks. That's absolutely awesome. I guess all of us, 100. Hey, that would definitely be a fun class night to try that out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Of course,
But
we
that
would
does
just
get
watch
back
the
to
terrain mutate like crazy, unless there was some way we could lock a section of terrain that somebody's actually working on, and then that becomes color-coded.
Well, it's almost like you really would want everybody to be able to claim an area they're working on,
Yeah.
so nobody steps on anybody else's toes.
Right.
It also might make sense if it was a tiered system where you could have like a terrain administrator. And I know that sounds really weird, but
No,
it's like
it's sounding
where,
kinda cool.
where somebody could look in and say like, all right, this area is done, or maybe just something as simple as you're spending too much time on this, so I'm going to lock this down.
Right, well, I like what Justin said, stay off my lawn.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
give everybody just a quick little sign they could hold up.
But anyway.
that also kind of
So there, well, Mr. Enrico said that Minecraft has lots of those tools. Well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Lee. We're taking things way beyond that because Minecraft is just block placement.
I think it's block placement, construction, and stuff, but I think it does have things that prevent you from.
Oh,
destroying
those kinds of. I see. Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Enrico. Okay, that makes sense. I was thinking about as far as just creation going. Yeah, locking areas, getting permissions. Very cool.
Yeah, I can't vouch for it because I've never played the multiplayer version, but I do think they do have stuff like that.
Well, definitely worth us looking at just for inspiration on ways that it's being implemented for people that are actively using this another game out there.
Yeah, I figured we're going to need something like that because if you've got your lead artists that are working on stuff, you don't want them to spend a weekend working on something and then somebody just comes in and goes, oh yeah, I don't like this, and changes it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So,
but that, yeah, as NATO just said, it would be an epic way to generate terrain. I think this, and he said especially large scale. Since this is being done, that's another part of this R&D session. There's multiple things that we're addressing in one go, which is what's so darn cool. One, having this race environment. Zach, what does RACE stand for again?
Real time. It's varying a little, but it's a real-time artistic collaborative environment.
There you go. So with our race environment, the goal is for us to be able to have massively large worlds because you don't need all of that world in where you're standing in the world. Why would you need 12 patches on down of terrain in when you can't even see that far? And Mr. Matt Damon, good night, man. He's got to go to work in a few hours. Oh, we'll miss you, buddy. But anyways, just had to say good night to Mr. Damon. But NATO's absolutely right. This will allow us to have a massive environment to work with because of being able to dynamically load and unload the terrain in these patches as we're running through the world. And then again, I could be on one patch sculpting and Zach could be on another patch, or technically could be on the same patch as me. We just haven't worked out the concept of how we want to lock areas.
well, just off the top of my head, it would probably work something similar to masking out areas.
Let me Mr. Enrico, let me jot this down as a note because I'll shoot you off a PM sometime in the next couple of days, and maybe we can hook up and you can show us a thing or two. That'd be awesome. And what were you saying now, Lee?
Good night, Danko.
Good night, Danko.
I got sidetracked. I was thinking possibly masking off areas, kind of like ZBrush. So you basically just move your camera over the terrain and multi-select a section, lock it, give permissions to it.
Mm-hmm.
So just off the top of my head.
You call it a claim system, so you claim this area.
Gotcha.
And that's where you're going to paint.
Yeah, we really haven't thought it out that far yet. And I will say this, and that is for networking. Hopefully, you guys will have no objection. Of course, you won't have no objection. We can do whatever we want. We've already said that. But when we get into Photon and we start putting Photon to work for us, for those of you that have worked with it in the past or you've done some reading on it, you know that there's kind of two main systems available that sit within it that we can take advantage of, rather light game or the MMO architecture that they give you as a kind of a springboard into designing an MMO. And of course, that's what we're going to be using, unless something down the road ends up irritating us. But I don't foresee that happening. I just got to work with Nelson and see if we can get him to accept some of the things that they give you pre-designed. Though I'm sure even then that can still be reworked. But what I'm getting at is with the MMO framework that they provide, they have the area of interest management already in place, with their default algorithm being the tile algorithm for interest management, and we have the ability to replace that. And there are some that I'm interested in at least exploring and playing with. But for this system that we're talking about with Lee, I'm thinking about using light game for that. There's a couple of things that I feel you guys would get out of that, because not everybody that's in the MMO class is wanting to really run off and make an MMO. But if you wanted to make your own first-person shooter where 32 people are going to come into a map and kill one another, and you wanted to do your own networking stuff with Photon, again, Photon, you'd be using the light game idea for building your networking for that type of a game. And it'll allow us to show both things if we implement that for this proof of concept that Lee's working his way through right now. Again, it just lets you guys see a couple of things, and with Photon being absolutely free for 100 concurrent connections and being able to be used in a commercial environment, I think it would be very beneficial for some of you guys out there to see how to use light game.
Well, there's just been so many questions that just keep pouring in on the IRC.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just give a rundown of what I'm thinking of approaching now next, what I've got planned for the near future. If I miss something, then go ahead and fire off the question if you still have it. Right now, my next couple of goals are to try and get seaming in place so we can have multiple patches so they line up on their edges. I also want to look at the procedural terrain generator. It does have some erosion in it. Currently, I'm implementing a form of heat erosion, as well as normalization and smoothing. I've got some perturbation filtering going on in there as well, using Verneuil cell maps to generate some of the peaks. So it's just a big mess of stuff right now. Other things that I want to, once I get that done, I want to work with Jason to see if we can't start looking at firing this network coming from the network, because I want to start being able to paint our terrain using brushes. So I would like to have alpha mass that we can use to selectively pull and push geometry, maybe smooth it, maybe start looking at adding some noise brushes, some erosion type brushes from there. I also want to experiment with texture painting, which is going to get into writing our own shaders that are going to allow for multiple textures to use alpha mask for masking out what layer or what textures get blended together to make up the terrain. With doing this type of system, something else that we get that we can't do with the Unity built-in terrain is the fact that I would love to implement either bump maps or displacement maps into the terrain painting part of it, so we can actually get some three-dimensional looking noise, so it doesn't look like just a painted flat plane. And all of that I want to implement with the what is currently being named the race system, so multiple artists can work on it all together. All of this I would love to tie into a tool that allows you, or that artists can be given. They log into the system, they just go to their part of the world that they're working on at that point in time and just go at it, and everybody can see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that Jason had set down for me was he wanted a massive world. So this system allows us, particularly in the format that I envision it, to effectively go in all directions until either we go, okay, that's big enough, or we run out of hard drive space on the servers because we're holding so much stuff in it.
Right.
So that's where I'm planning on going from there. And if I haven't mentioned it, yes, I would like to experiment with LOD and get multiple levels of detail into the terrain system.
Yeah, we talked about that over lunch a couple of days ago. Also, Mr. Wolf Knightley said something a second ago as all this text was flying by, and that was he said, well, you could have somebody that is already working on a particular spot click on and invite another person. For those of you that are interested, Mr. Knightley, starting with you, if you guys want to think about what would be cool, what would make this tool powerful as far as just a usability sense, being able to control how we're going to lock an area or whatever, feel free to add posts in the MMO thread. I'll be reading those. So will Lee. So will Zach, and we would love to hear ideas like that, because as you guys toss cool ideas out that we hadn't thought of yet, again, you're saving us some time, because it's like, well, damn, I didn't think about that. Let's get that implemented, because that would definitely be helpful. So please, if you guys have ideas, or if you want to give a little bit of time thinking about this tonight or even over the next couple of days, and you want to toss it in, then yeah, that would be greatly appreciated. Nick Space says you have to do a new camera system for that, right? Okay, I guess he's talking to somebody else. I just saw a question mark.
Yes. Was it Cycle? Oh no, Enrico asked about how to deal with two neighbors if one, or if they both radically change the part they're working on. The seams, I'm planning on having some sort of smooth blending, so it's going to match up the vertices across the seam, and then smooth blend it across both sides, so you don't want to end up with a sharp ridge along the seam.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking right now.
And how would you pronounce that name, Mr. Elio? Zach?
I don't know.
It said, is the social terrain generation
MMO?
the main gameplay of the MMO? No, sir, not at all. This has nothing to do with gameplay. We're looking
It's
at
a design environment.
Yeah, we're looking at how we can create design environments that would allow us to cooperatively develop zones. And I'm just going to use the general term zones from MMOs. Again, just a general word. I'm not saying we're going to have zones in our world, but it just allows for us to develop environments quicker, especially with those of you guys out there that are hanging out. And I mean, I could see having a session where I give Zach the seat here and we do a class thing like this, and we let those of you that are interested jump in, and we actually hold a class while Zach's painting stuff out, and you could see stuff taking place in the background, and Zach's explaining what he's doing, and just a cool sounding idea.
Very much so.
Let's see. There was a question, why do the patches have to be square? It's because that's the easiest math, and it'd be kind of hard to tile circles without having holes in the terrain.
Yeah, Mr. Artanis is trying to kind of push me into the cheating realm a little bit more with talking about the actual game. But he does have a question: will the MMO be like WoW with no loading screens, apart for instancing, or will it be with zoning? And he says, I hope WoW-like. Well, don't forget, even when you change,
go to Northrend from.
Yeah, if you change from any of the major continents, any of them,
yeah,
you're switching over to other servers. I mean, you still get the loading screen. I with what we're doing with the terrain system, one of the reasons we really want to explore this is because this would afford us the ability to go and go and go and go without having to have load screens, because I agree with you, sir. I'm not a fan of the load screens. The more of a fluent environment that we can have the player feel, the better. Lee, you see anything else coming in?
Yeah, Deep Freeze came back, said Hex's tile nicely. Touche, touche.
Well, I guess I think that
square tiles are still easier on the Mac.
I was gonna say I think that depends on how you define nicely. Because if nicely means it's really easy to set up and work with, then no, they really don't.
So let's see what else we have going on. I see another question. So is it definite that we'll lose light mapping with custom terrain? Mr. Abrams, it's possible not. If we can export our
possibility.
Go ahead.
There's a workaround that I've got, possibly. But then again, the more I think about it, do you really want to light map all your terrain? Because if we have a dynamic day-night cycle, that kind of defeats the point of.
Ooh, touche. That's very well done, sir. Yeah, he's got a point there, because that is one of the things that I personally would like to see is a day-night cycle along with a weather system.
And I've already built one of those, maybe, possibly.
Yeah, maybe. It happened. Oh, yeah, so questions. Mr. A. Enrico asks about, am I looking over at the question thing? No, I'm sorry. Good explanation. He asks the question, is there a good explanation why mesh-based terrain is to prefer in this MMO game in
from voxel based? I think why we'd be choosing mesh based instead of voxel based.
Storage requirements, less memory. I'm hoping to get the data for an entire patch compressed down to less than 1K, so it can go through a single packet on Photon. And if we're doing voxel, then your storage requirements become, height or width by depth by height, which is a whole lot more storage.
Yeah, he's Mr. Artanis is right. No shadows for Unity standard. Can we think of a way to create some static shadows manually, like with projectors?
You can do a projector. Doesn't look good. The only other way would be to write your own shaders, but that requires you to be able to save out to a render target, which you can't do without Pro anyways.
Yeah, I know that. I hate that that very smart on Unity Technologies front, but as far as not giving you shadows, because of course you're going to want shadows. Shadows make everything beautiful, but at least it's free still. But that's good. And who knows? Who knows where, as the R&D goes forward with the terrain system, who knows if Lee might stumble on an article or something that makes him go, maybe I can try this out. We're not locked to anything. We're just we got to have a starting point. And to be honest with you, I like the starting point of we start with a simple mesh and then work our way from there. I mean, I had the privilege of taking 2 seconds to look through Lee's terrain generator and his little noise class. I'm not choking about bad code. It's just a hell of a lot of math and all. Like I said, let's start simple and work our way up. I'm not a flipping math expert. I got to rely on some of you guys for that. Anyways, let's see. Water. Mr. NATO asks, Lee's not going to say, "Oh, of course we're going to have water."
Well, hold on. I was looking at something Gap said.
Oh, okay. NATO just said water? Question mark.
Oh, yeah. There's a couple of thoughts that I had with water. I know Unity Pro's got the new water, but I haven't messed with it yet. But I have seen some really cool things with using splines to generate rivers and roads.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to play with that,
Mm-hmm.
as well as the possibility of using that to generate, the water pretty much with a tool. So you go, hey, you know what? I need a lake here. Draw out a big square. Go, okay, got a lake. I need a river. Draw out a spline, and they go, okay, now I got a river. So just some thoughts.
He says, I'm thinking a flat plane to show water table for easy modeling for landscape generating on the fly.
What? I didn't see that one.
I just read. Man, all I do is read, okay? Says, I'm thinking a
Oh, you're over here on the question.
Yes, I'm over on the question. Yeah, you can see it too.
Show water. I don't understand the question. I think of flat plane to show water table. Landscape generated on the fly. Can you elaborate a little bit more?
He says multiple water tables for better waterfalls. Man, if you can afford getting Unity Pro for 300 euros through your school or something, I would jump all over that if you're planning on taking game development with Unity serious. I would. I mean, what am I saying? I shelled out $3,000 when I first wanted to start getting into it for Unity Pro and iPhone Advanced. So, and I didn't have that money to really spend. But so T-Gun says, but will the student license have limitations? That's a good point, and that's a real good point, actually. I bet it would. You would think so anyways. But even if they would let you then do an upgrade price later to migrate from a student license to a full license, that would get you in with the ability to work with render targets and dynamic streaming content, etc. And then, you get a little bit later down the road, pay the upgrade or whatever fee they charge to go ahead and move all the way over to a full commercial license. Anyways, just thinking of ideas. I hate that it costs money, but I am thankful that you guys are, and I know many of you are as well, that you're at least able to follow 99% of what we do with standard.
Right.
So, and I know, let's see, if you pay for Pro, how long does it last? Just the current version. Mr. Rick the Blade, yeah, that's a really good question. He asks, if you pay for Pro, how long does it last? Just the current version or 1 year? It lasts for the version and minor versions through it. So yeah, the life cycle of that major version. So I paid for 3.0 and I've got 3.1 now, 3.2, and anything else they continue putting out. I know that when I first purchased, I purchased back at 2.6, I guess, and somewhere back around there. But when they put out 3.0, since it was a major release, they had a very nice deal that they put out for an upgrade price. Instead of $1,500, I think it was $750. And then the iPhone one was also relatively cheap. So, and then what was funny is I kind of kept putting it off because they had this deal going on also. If you got it before it went out of beta and Pro, or went out of beta and went final, and I caught it on the last day. So I ended up getting both of them upgraded for $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I said,
that.
there was another discount on top of it.
Hey, Enrico had a question for me. I was just excited somebody's talking to me. It said, if I post a kind of elaborated story idea, can it be beneficial to the current story, or is it locked? Yeah, sure, knock yourself out.
Yeah, it's not locked, but we're getting
close.
We're getting something that we're starting to really like around here. So if you throw something out that we haven't thought of, please do so. But we're not locked, Gavin. But again, this is something I'd love to see a flipping movie at this point because it would be awesome. But anyways, yeah, we're definitely up to hearing from all of you guys. So let's see, anything else?
Yeah, NATO came back with elaboration of what it meant by water table. As far, he means it kind of like sea level. Yes, there will be something that would be sea level. How we fully implement it, that will come out about in R&D. I would kind of like to be able to set it up so it wasn't just a generic flat plane across the entire world, because it would be kind of neat to have some spots where you could have caves that went underneath and you don't want to actually go through water to get to your underground cave. So it'd probably be similar to what I was talking before, where you would draw out a box simulate your water. That may even turn out to be procedurally, so as the artist starts sculpting the land and it goes below what is known as sea level, it would dynamically put a new object in and start drawing out the water volume to represent that level.
Right.
Just a guess.
Also, Crash64 just said, are you considering using Messiah Studio for MMO since the deal went through? Yes, sir. It's new to us, so it's not like we can just jump right in and start using it. But
what are you talking about? We never have to learn software.
Yeah.
We were born with the knowledge.
I picked up 3 pro license, and what I would personally like to do is put together, obviously we got to do some playing with it and kind of get our head wrapped around it, and get some videos put together on it and actually use it as our animation, as part of our animation pipeline. Everything that we've seen about it looks fantastic, and I've heard nothing but praise over the years. So,
well, actually, it's interesting. I've heard a lot of really, 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 really good things about Messiah ever since I got into 3D years and years back. But I was, and we've been talking about getting into Blender, of course. I'm not knocking Blender, so please don't throw anything
yeah,
at
of course
me.
not. It has come so far over the years.
It has. But I was a little bit apprehensive about really dedicating myself to it as an animation tool. For a lot of reasons. But just to know that I could potentially make a model and an entire character set up inside of Blender and then take that over to Messiah and get that nicely animated, that's a killer idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got a back segfault here. He just said, go and buy it now if you don't have it. They are getting...
You only have a few hours left.
Yeah, they're just a few hours, and this deal goes bye-bye. Pro was selling for, what, about $1,200, and, you know, I picked up each license for $40 a piece. And, yeah, there you go. Thanks, T-Gun. 6.5 hours left for $40, and that's the pro version.
Yeah.
If you're, you know, real cheap, starving student, I mean, there's definitely those of you out there. Their standard version is $10.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Where's he at? Where is he at? I see you, Chris, and I also see, I to be fair, because I know...
His hand's up.
Gavin!
Oh, hello.
I probably just scared the crap out of him. I saw your hand. I saw your hand a minute ago. I'm sorry about that. Just so many questions.
My hands up in ILC was actually I just preceded it by hands up who bought it in reference to the $10 offer.
Well,
and then I put my hand up.
Just type for those of you out there that are in the IRC right now. Just type "bought it" in the IRC chat, and then we'll just kind of have an idea of how many of you guys have your hands on it. Oh, kick ass! See, VTMs are a must. That's awesome. Oh, this is gonna be fun. It's just gonna be cool working in an environment where many of the students and us are working on the same page.
Yeah.
Animation software and Unity, of course. That's awesome.
You should so get a marketing kickback from them. A number of people who bought this based on you saying, "Oh, we might look into that."
What are you talking about? I'm just happy that they made it available for the price they did. Otherwise, we would have just been sticking with Maya.
Yeah.
Can I ask about the water system, seeing as I'm unmuted?
Yes, you can.
Basically the question I posted to Kronos just now about could the water be based on some sort of obviously a particle system would be over the top, but something such that it actually would flow over the terrain, and if you dug a hole, it would fill up if there was water leading into it.
That would be an interesting thing. It's not something that I would want to implement game time. That would be something that would be like a bake setting, where it's like going, okay, here.
Yeah.
It's like going, here's a water source and flow over. The only problem that I've had with my experiments with free-flowing water in a train is that ended very badly the one time I did it. I accidentally put a water source. I put a water source and it flooded the whole level. And that was ugly. So all you would need is one of your artists to go, yeah, I'm going to put this water source on top of the mountain and then bake, and the next thing you know, the whole level is nothing but little islands.
Yeah, because that would obviously tie into things like rainy areas and tides. But it's just that the single flat plane water table of not just Unity, most things I've tried, it's just frustrating when it comes to things like rivers and waterfalls in particular and such like. But,
no. What I've got envisioned is you'd start off with like some sort of spline tool where you would place
like the tool, the add-on that's available from the same guys that did the current terrain system.
I'll neither confirm nor deny that I may have taken some cues from that or other.
Oh no, well, yeah.
But yeah, similar to something like that, where you go, it'd be really cool to have a river that goes here, 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 and here, and I want it to be this deep, and it needs to be this wide at this point. Yeah, something like that.
Cool.
Now, I don't normally
using splines.
I'm sorry, I just want to real quick. I don't normally do this, but Artanis says, Busby J, please promise me that we're going to use Messiah Studio, and you're going to create VTMs, since I'm going to buy the $40 version, and I have no modeling, animating package experience whatsoever. All right. First thing I've learned many years ago with 3D Buzz is I don't make promises, because who knows what'll happen tomorrow. My house might just explode, and then even though I'd be dead, I'd feel pretty bad. But I have purchased a license for me, for Lee, and for Zach, and I purchased the Pro license for us. I would not be spending money if the intent was not to use it. That is 100% our plan, and hopefully by now you know me well enough that if we're going to use a tool and we don't have any videos on it, we really like to show, even if, because we're not trying to blow smoke up anyone's skirt here, we're straight out the door telling you guys we're complete noobs with this. I mean, but we've worked with Motion Builder, Max, Maya, other rendering packages. We know all the concepts of rendering and animation curves, etc., etc. So it's just a matter of getting ourselves familiar with this particular tool. So it's just a little bit of time to do that, and then I'm not saying the word promise, but I'm saying yes, our plan is, where with Blender I'm saying we may. My plan is to do some VTMs for Messiah.
Yeah, sorry, you just scared the hell out of me when you prefaced the whole thing with, I don't usually do this. I was like, oh my god, I'm going to have to cover his mouth or punch him or something.
No, I wasn't going to promise, but I was going to go into more detail than I normally do with a plan.
Sure.
And this is one that, well, somebody who doesn't have, a lot of money. No, I'm not talking about Mr. Artanis. With all I know, he drives a Ferrari. But, and if that's the case, let me borrow your car some weekend. But anyways, if people are going to invest money, I like them to know that we're going to be doing the same thing, and we're going to try to back people up, and that is exactly what the plan is here. And it is, and there's already been several people that have said this. It is a damn good investment for things way beyond just this MMO. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's an awesome animation / rendering package. All right, Gavin, anything else, sir?
No, not right at the moment. I'm quite into the whole game mechanics from the point of view of actual the equivalent of the dice rolling that goes on and the way that's all interacts. But
we'll get to that, and I'm sure you're gonna
getting into a bit more of my get a bit more pushy with my ideas. But no, I'm just going to go and try and work out exactly what goes into making a purling noise.
Haha, very nice, very nice. You can find tons and tons of details.
I found a few good sites, including Ken Perlin's site, which I posted a thread about in the
There you
Moo
go.
Lounge. So,
Yeah, once you get your head wrapped around Perlin, start looking at what he did as a replacement, which is his simplex noise.
Yeah.
that's mentioned. I did trawl through a while back the Making Noise site, which I included in the thread that I linked to. Hang on 1 second, and I will drop it in IRC. There. And yeah, he mentions that on there, but it's been. Oh well, actually, there's the other question. Any further news on the maths VTMs? Because I'm feeling the 15 years since I did my
I know.
last did maths.
I know.
Sorry, I know you've been.
Promise I'm going to try to get to him soon.
I just thought I'd throw a nudge in. Sorry, I know it's been hellish for you.
Oh my dear God, it has. It
But,
really so has.
You know, I'll see if I can sweet talk Jason and let me take a look at us getting them all assembled and ready to go out
I
tomorrow.
feel bad now.
No, don't feel bad. There's a lot of people that have asked me about them, and they're going to be cheap. And Steve has done such an amazing job. I want to watch him myself. I've only scanned through maybe an hour's worth, and that hour's worth is really good that I've looked at. Steve proves every equation. I mean, he actually goes through the proof of it, and he knows our style of teaching, and he's merged with that style so nicely over the years, and he's applied our style to these maths videos, and I just need to get time. There's not enough damn time in the day right now, and it sucks.
Yeah. It's just because they're English videos, you see. He'll spell colour correctly.
Yes,
Talk about maths.
I completely understand.
Mm-hmm. With way too many letters.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and get Nelson in here, and thanks a lot, Gavin, and I'll be talking with you soon. Bye, Gavin.
Bye.
That was funny. Okay, switching over real quick. Nelson, man, you there?
Hey.
Hey. All right, just so that I've said it in front of a massive room full of people. I can't believe we still have 77 people in the class. This is a class that everybody's pretty much stayed in, and that's shocking. I just wanted to tell you I am so sorry about botching that last night. I know you were sick this morning when Zach told you, but I can't even start to express how sick I was. I mean, dude.
Yeah.
One, you bent over backwards for me and you did a WinForms app, even though you did not want to, and you grumbled about it, and then you said you and SecFault are going to have to go off behind some building and like fight it out again, thanks to me. And see, there he goes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not Nelson's fault, SegFault. It's mine. I just wanted it in WinForms because very quick. Good night, Frenzy. Very, very quick and easy to get most of everything we wanted to show going quick. So, and that is true, Nelson. You can agree with that.
Well,
Go ahead.
I want to see what they look like with just you guys talking. I'm sure it's amusing, at least.
Oh, you mean oh, you talking about the videos?
Yeah, because isn't it just you guys now?
Yeah,
Like, I'm
it's
completely
well,
cut out.
you hear you, but it's like a mouse in the background. It kind of sounds like that. And it's like, is that Nelson talking, or is that his keyboard going smack, 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 smack? Can't really tell. But it was such a great set of videos, and I know you're going to kill me on this because I was going to bug you anyways. I still wanted to take it further. I really wanted to get into playing with the memento pattern, talking about that and implementing that some. And I know you'd be completely, excited about it if we were just staying in a console app. Yeah. I know, guys. You got to understand. Nelson and I, we and Zach, we stayed on Skype with these stupid headphones digging into the side of my ear for
8 hours.
8 hours yesterday, and it was only an hour and a half of recording. But It was trying to get Nelson in the mood to do WinForms. It's not a very easy.
It was 8 hours of total work. 6.5 of that was just getting Nelson up to doing anything with WinForms.
Yeah.
It's a cheerleading session. Hey Nelson, how's your site coming? Okay.
It needs to be turned into HTML and made a lot nicer looking.
Wait a minute. I thought you were trying to make it look a lot nicer looking in Photoshop first, and then...
I thought there was an order of progression there, but maybe not.
Once you get to a certain point, I find that it's a lot easier to prototype stuff out in HTML, just because that's what I'm more used to, I guess.
Ah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mr. J.J. Abrams says, use WPF to host a WinForm.
Yeah. J.J. Abrams.
Oh, okay.
J.J. Gazzardo has been dubbed J.J. Abrams for the
That's
purposes of our discussion.
And I'm allowed to do
Yes,
that. Besides, J.J. Abrams is damn cool. Anyways.
So yeah, so what was that stuff about? I paid attention to Zach, and then when you started talking, I started zoning out.
Yeah, I know.
Smack. That's exactly the opposite of what usually happens.
No, I was only listening to listened to that story stuff, which is really cool. But were you getting into gameplay stuff, or when I left?
Well, yeah, we actually chatted just a little bit about that. What I was saying is one of the things that I'm really excited about having you involved in all of our meetings for game mechanics, gameplay, is the fact that, one, you love games, and two, you hate MMOs. So what I'm hoping that we can achieve is to come up with some fresh ideas that would make an MMO appealing to you.
Yeah.
He's over there vomiting right now. He hit mute so he could vomit. It's MMO. It's like once Nelson's against something, it doesn't matter if all of a sudden it's the most awesome thing in the world. He's against it. The word project. Nelson hates that word so much. Doesn't matter what Webster Dictionary says or anyone else. It's just that word should now be burned and never used again.
It's okay, though. Well, it's okay because we do know that Nelson can be brought into the light.
Well,
hence the iPad and the Mac.
That's true. Now, Mr. Crispy asks Nelson, so what do you hate about MMOs? Go ahead and take the floor for a minute and tell him what you hate about MMOs.
I don't know. Like, I only really play single-player games because I don't have anyone else to play games with. And MMOs always lack a story, and they always seem to lack a drive or a motivation to do anything, which is kind of the problem I had with WoW. I played WoW for a couple hours. I played EQ2 for a while. I played Star Wars Galaxy for a while. But they never really felt like I was accomplishing anything ever, which was frustrating. And that was the biggest thing. That was probably the biggest thing that I don't like about them, because they feel really static, and they feel like they don't go forward, and it feels like you're not accomplishing anything, because everything feels like kind of mundane, I guess. And that's my biggest complaint. But yeah.
Well, I can, and there's definitely some comments coming back in, and this is great, and I really look forward next week, hopefully, to having much more discussion over gameplay as we start, moving into that direction. But I love where Matt said, "You, sir, need the title Lore Master." Now, I don't even have that yet, damn it. But and Wolfery actually had a really good one where he said a couple of hours, and true, you got to be like WoW. If I would have played WoW by myself, if it would have been for Terry and Toastage dragging me into it, and then having them to play with and be on Skype and work as a unit as we progressed, a couple of hours would have probably been. I probably wouldn't have even given it a couple of hours. And the first time I went up, talked to an NPC, and he says, take this flask over to the guy across the hall. What the hell? Why can't you walk it over there? It's the first problem I got. And then go talk to someone else, and he's like, oh, walk outside the gates and kill 20 of these and bring me back, or go out there and kill dinosaurs and bring me back 6 heads. So I go out there and I kill my first dinosaur, and there's no head on it. But I swear to you, when I was fighting that thing, it had a damn head that was biting me in the ass.
Well, even better, after you killed it and you stand there above its newly
carcass with its head
still
laying
cooling
there.
corpse.
Yeah.
You see its head. You are straddling its head, pulling with all your might, but it says no.
It says no, there is no head.
There is no head. It's all in your head.
But yeah, and his eyes still blink.
Exactly.
Damn it, he does have a head. He's blinking at me. But so true. But if that's how I would have experienced WoW to begin with, I would have never been into it the way that I am now. Where right now we have a Blizzard employee that is on the 3D Buzz website. That's a friend of mine, and I actually whined to him just a little bit the other day about I am really really sad. I hit level 85 and I put a little bit of time into the game, and now we've been so busy with everything else. I haven't been able to really get out there and enjoy. I haven't even done all of the dungeons yet in Cataclysm because my time has been very limited with it. A Blizzard spy trying to steal our ideas.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely.
No, but I can tell you this. That Blizzard employee just might be in this class, but I didn't say that.
Totally trying to
Fedge
steal.
is undercover. That's awesome. Toastitch, I've been trying to pawn you off to them for a while, man. But anyways, no, we're just having fun, guys. Oh, damn, Toastitch. I thought Toastitch was stuck in some airport lounge somewhere. Oh, it's good to see him here.
Yeah, they could have Wi-Fi.
Yeah, they could. Or he finally got to his destination. But I don't know. That was my take. Wolf Knightley just says, Busby J, I find the battle systems in MMOs and most RPGs kind of boring. I want it to be more thoughtful and less, hey, now you can press this button and now you can again. And I hear where you're coming from, and I do understand the way like WoW's combat system works. I mean, when you're in large raids with 24 friends and you're trying to coordinate complex scenarios, that's to me where the game just really, really takes off and is just absolutely awesome. Or if you're out on the battleground kicking a bunch of people's ass that you really don't care for, that's a hell of a lot of fun too. But at the same time, I've got to say this: the very first time that I jumped in the game, after Terry finally talked me into getting it downloaded and installed, and I selected somebody to shoot. Well, actually, first thing wasn't even to shoot. I mean, to select them. It was just like, all right, how do I shoot at that guy? And Terry's like, well, you got to select him. Well, why the hell do I have to select him? I just, I want to point my wand at him, and I want a damn fireball coming out at him. And he's like, oh, no, it doesn't work that way. And that blew me away at first. I was like, well, what? You've got to be kidding me. Of course, now I understand. I mean, now it makes complete sense with the importance of, are you hit capped? What are the chance of you missing? And then from a purely technical point of view, with the simply with the data that's going around and the kind of lag when dealing with an MMO. For those of you that are WoW players, surely you remember the days in Wintergrasp when, for whatever reason, it was a relatively large battle where you had, way over 100 people, and stupid tenacity. Oh, I remember those days too, Toastage. But where the lag was just trying to select somebody was frickin' horrible because the lag was so bad. Now imagine if it wasn't about selecting and then RPG style all of these stats that determine if you're going to hit and the damage and all that good stuff. Imagine if it was like Unreal or another first-person shooter where you got to aim and fire. Wow, it just wouldn't have happened. So I don't know how we're going to handle combat. I mean, when we designed the tech demo, we went with a standard WoW-like approach with cooldowns and
click select, have cooldowns, fire
abilities, etc. But anyways, Nelson, add some more in.
Yeah, well, early back someone said, what are the things about games that I like? Well, unfortunately, I'm not really a game designer, so I can't really pick apart what I'm trying to say granularly. But I don't know, like I said before, it's the reason you're there to do something. And you said that, you like doing it with other people, and I guess that's cool, but it would be even better if there was some sort of driving storyline. But not the standard, that's the difficult thing. At that point, the challenge becomes, how do you create a storyline that is interesting but doesn't make it seem like you are the only person
Right.
who could possibly save the world, because obviously that won't work in an MMO.
Right.
So that presents different challenges that single-player games don't have.
Yeah, for sure. So what kind of things do you like? And I mean, story obviously is something important.
Yeah, well, I guess interactivity, feeling like what you're doing has an effect on the game world. Like the first Deus Ex, definitely did that really well. But again, that was a single player,
Right.
sort of standpoint. I don't know how that would translate into an MMO. But there's so many. Every time you go through the game, like you always feel like you have to do something in order to get something that you want, which is to continue on with the story, and everything has an effect. And that's easier to do in a single player. I don't know how that translates to a multiplayer game, but that's just what I like in the games that I play. As far as the serious games I play, I mean, if you look at other games that I like Just Cause 2, where you just go around and blow stuff up, that's different.
True.
But yeah, do you have any thoughts about how you would be able to integrate that?
I'm not wanting to dive into that discussion at the moment, because that would actually just get into us with
another 6-hour meeting.
A lot of debate.
Tail of a 3-hour meeting.
I'm actually thinking maybe next week we have our first meeting where we start talking about some of these things in serious detail. But I completely agree with what you say. I mean, obviously we've put a lot of care into a very rich world with backstory. I mean, you've only heard part of it. This whole treatment again is being done by Zach for the Alethians, which isn't yet finished, but there's already several pages, and I'm very pleased with where things are progressing there too. And then when we get up to where the game actually starts from, I mean, we've got so much to pull from, and now it's a matter of making the experience in the game. How do we, I really want to put the person in that world. I want them to feel like they're in that world. I saw a minute ago where Mr. JJ said that he doesn't even read quest text anymore. It's so true. I don't either. I'm horrible about it. As a matter of fact, I'm like, all right, Zach, what are we doing now? Well, we got to go kill 6 of these.
Yeah, I know. I've got to be the guide in all of the.
So, all right,
runs.
well, let's go kill 6 of those. And I mean, and I've been told that there's some awesome storylines and all, but how do we make the person care? The player care. The player want to. Again, that's part of really being involved in it.
But I have a lot of mixed opinions about that. I mean, because I do read the quest text whenever I can. The only times I don't is when we're in a rush and we're trying to get some crap done, because it's kind of situationally dependent. But I'm very good about reading the quest text. Nice, the quest text. But you can't. A lot of people aren't in it for that.
Yeah, I understand.
They just want to run around and smack polygons and push
buttons. But
push the feeder bar and
Wolf
get a piece
Knightley
of cheese.
just said something that's so true. He says, "Yeah, I really would like the quests to be interesting." And I think for me, I did read quests at the very beginning, but it so quickly became, "Go kill 6 of these, go get 4 of those." That finally it didn't take hundreds of quests before I got tired of reading that. It only took a few. And then I scanned for the summary as to, all right, what the hell do you want me to get, take, or escort?
Or go talk to, or
and
well, it's
go ahead.
I think it's more than that. It's a continuation of quests, but not just as the same. You go back to the same NPC and get the next thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Like I don't know, like not have each individual quest be an isolated incident. Have it to where your progress or completion or whatever of one quest affects possibly what could be considered to be another quest, but in reality they're connected in a way that makes the player feel like he's progressing through something rather than progressing through checkboxes
Yeah.
on top that's floating up, above a bunch of people's heads
Absolutely.
as they walk through a city.
Yeah, because see, all of the quests in WoW, I feel is kind of like I've always described WoW after investing over 2,000 hours in it. I describe it to my friends that hadn't played it as the game begins when you hit max level. So I hate to say it, but all of the and there are people like Zach who love the questing. For me, it felt like dues I had to pay to finally be able to enter the game and begin really playing. And again, that's just...
I want to go level up my lock right now.
Yeah, and Zach's ready to go start doing some leveling because he enjoys that. But
I found it hard.
Go ahead, Nelson.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
I found it when I played WoW for that little bit of time. I found it hard to... I mean, Zach, I just found it hard to sit there and force myself to read text.
And that's how a lot of people view reading, and I understand that. A lot of people...
But I don't view reading like that at all. I read all day. I read a bunch of different kinds of things. I used to read a lot of fiction, and I don't dislike reading at all. And if it's something that's interesting enough, I will read it.
Right.
It's just... It's not to me. It's not about I didn't want to read the text. It's about the text was so mind-numbingly boring that I just had no vested interest.
So true with a lot of that.
And see, I don't even think that's really true. I think after a while you just get numb to it anyway. I think even if the text was just like some glorious thing that they commissioned every high-end writer in the world to make every single quest something that like should win a Nobel Peace Prize, I don't know. After a while you'd be like, oh well, I'm just trying to get my level up to this, and so. You're going to skip it anyway. It doesn't matter how awesome it is because there's so much of it and it's so repetitive. You open the window, you click the accept button.
Oh, but if
you
it
go
was
do
awesome,
some inane
then
text.
you would hope that it also wasn't repetitive.
No. The activity is repetitive.
Yeah, I know.
Meaning that the same window always opens. You always click the same response accept the quest button. You always go do some stupid task. Even if the tasks are cooler, at some point you're going to end up doing a similar task again. I'm sorry, no matter how awesome you want it to be, but then
every time,
and then you come back, you open the damn window again, you click accept, you get your little reward, you've punched your feeder bar, you get your piece of cheese, and you go on. And at some point, it blends in, no matter how awesome the writing is. And I'm sorry, if you had actually read a lot of the text, a lot of it is pretty cool and tells a lot of cool backstories between a lot of characters that take place inside of WoW. There's a lot of lore to be had if one takes the chance to read it, but the presentation format doesn't lend itself very well to that, so at some point it just blurs, you don't notice, and that's it. It goes away.
I've out of all the times I've played Deus Ex, I've never skipped a single cutscene. So
right, because in Deus Ex, the people are actually talking to you, and there's some camera angles, and it's engaging. It's not a stupid window with a parchment texture in the background and some really hard-to-read font face, by the way, that just scrolls on just, some little block of text when all you want to do is hit the accept button.
And Prototype, at the end of the day, is right. MMOs are not for everyone, but
True.
But I would like to see that as a challenge, and how do we make it for more people? I don't want to be stuck in the WoW-style rut for another 20 years with MMOs that are coming. And maybe we're on the edge of seeing that be changed with Guild Wars 2. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. There is one more person that let me see if he's still here before we end up wrapping the class up. We've got to make sure we hear from Mr. Derek Stevens.
Oh wow.
Uh-oh.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing all right. How you doing tonight, Derek?
I'm really excited. The stories that everybody involved, it's fantastic. It's going to be deep. The thing I loved to talk about as a kid, I didn't like real science and cookbooks and math, and I loved those choose your own adventure quest books. You have a story that's set from A to Z, but you had all these choices inside. What I would love to be able to implement, we were talking about, you ever had those quests where you have to escort somebody, right? And they don't seem to like, I know there's a lot of people after me, I think I'll just walk anyway. They don't try to help you out. And if you die, either the timer starts over again or you have to go get the quest. Well, I'd love to see it. I don't know how to do it because I'm not a programmer. But to implement different endings, random accounts. Maybe you have to get a guy back to point B. Well, he dies, and hey, maybe you have a choice of cutting off his head because you're standing over his body. That's all you got to present. Maybe he blows up. Maybe you go back and there's consequences because you didn't save the guy, and it pushes a storyline where there's a bounty on your head, and then we can go to a place where, hey, this guy didn't do X, Y, and Z, and there's a real life bounty on his head for microtransactions. I mean, who knows? But if we could push choices. That's what I'd be excited about. That would make me engage. I want our people to have buy-in. Because like you said, if it's just a parchment with some silly font, not a lot of people are going to care. No one's going to buy in, so not a lot of people are going to be immersed into this game.
Yeah, the more people that you can get pulled into the story, or as I like to say, more people that you get pulled into the world where you make them feel like they're there, the more successful all of this would be.
That's the $10 zillion question. How do we do that?
And I mean, that would... God, I'm really bad at this game. That would be like the single driving force to even play the game, at least for me. Like, I wouldn't care so much about combat or anything else, as long as it really felt like I was progressing through something interesting.
Right. And that's why I said, Nelson, that I'm actually excited about having you around when we've already invested 20 minutes talking about stuff that I had said was a off-limits topic, but that's okay. When we really start seriously discussing this and start throwing ideas in that are going to stick as feature possibilities to be explored, I'm very much looking forward to what you, Derek, NATO, Gavin, everybody out there has to say, and I'm hoping we can start defining something that's a bit different than your standard, MMO. I'm hoping. I can at least hope.
No, we're going to do it because with all the talent, I mean, I'm only really a 2D artist, and I know enough in 3D to be a little dangerous. But you guys know so many different packages. Nelson, you have brought a dimension to this team that's not been seen in a long time. I really believe there's so much talent that's able to think outside the box that we're going to come up with something brilliant. And I think it's going to be the next biggest, greatest thing. I'll bet my farm on it because I'm not a farmer. But if I had a farm, I'd bet my farm on it.
Well, I don't have a farm, so I'll bet my farm on it too.
Gav, thank you for my Derek's weekly motivational speech.
So yeah, it is good to hear from you, Derek. Sorry that I haven't been able to talk with you recently. You know that last week Megan was in the hospital, and now she's been out in between with Lee being here and working on content and trying to get as much of ADP behind us as possible, and trying to get new content for the MMO class, because I don't want that to slow down at all. It's just been crazy, sick, busy over here.
It's like, yeah, the world doesn't revolve around me. I'm an only child and a Leo, and it took me a while to realize that. I totally understand, seriously, especially when it comes to your baby. I mean, Megan and your family comes first. But it's kind of funny, at my work, we get barracudaed a lot. I can't go to a lot of sites, but I can go to 3D Buzz. There's been a couple times like I had to shut my machine down real quick because my boss is coming in. Oh crap! Reading. Oh my goodness. So yeah, definitely all psyched out. No more inspirational stuff. I'm finished.
Well, I'm glad you liked what you've heard from the story so far, because I know when you were over here at the house many months back, and we were having a hell of a lot of fun talking about the corporations when we were just, really getting into the whole idea of these corporations from good to bad. I hope you really enjoyed the way that Zach had them evolve from where we are today to these power giants much further in the future.
I'm already thinking about marketing ideas like patches and stickers that you can put on cars. I'm serious, all sorts of little figurines. I'm thinking Christmas decorations. That'd be all sorts of cool stuff for marketing ideas. I think corporations is the way it's going to go in real life, so why not embrace it, hug it, ride the wave to fame.
Oh, NATO's like, but damn, pull it back, baby. he's Derek, or NATO says he loves you, man, but pull it back.
I love NATO too.
No, it's Yeah, no, it's always great to be ambitious and to think big. For me, it helps, like NATO says, baby steps. So it's awesome that you've got the big grand picture. Of course, in my world, the only thing I'm seeing is this terrain tool and database concerns at the moment. Just some of these early steps that we're trying to just kind of work our way through and see what kind of tools we can make to define a new way of building environments, at least for the general public. I know that out there with Hero Engine, they are doing that, but who's got thousands and thousands of dollars to throw at it? But yeah, it's great to have you seeing the grand picture and throwing in your motivational speeches about how we could do stuffed animals that are nanobot.
Oh, yeah.
It's just great.
Oh my God, they could. You plug them into your iPhone and make it crawl and crap.
There you go.
But my thing is, I know from the bottom of my heart that you're going to make it as simplistic, this very complicated monster, as simple so other people on my level can understand what you guys are doing coding. And when you bring it down to, I don't want to say dumb down, that's the wrong word, but when you can explain it in the way that only 3D Buzz can, you and Zach, your banter, Lee's getting in there, you're gonna open up doors for so many people who have these ideas, but this whole make a cool MMO button's not on their screen anyplace. So it's just giving them some great tools. I'm really done motivating. Sorry, I'm really done.
No, it's completely good, Derek. I have definitely seen a lot of amazing ideas from people out in the MMO forums, and I've seen some amazing suggestions, and now we're starting to get code ideas and discussions going on over there, which is fantastic. I'm loving it. We're down a little on post, guys. Just letting you know, when the MMO first kicked off a week ago, you guys were insane. Now it's down to where it's, a quick cup of coffee and, 20 minutes later I'm pretty much done reading. So I'm just saying, if you feel inspired to, keep the posts going with interesting things, do it. Segfault, I have not yet seen, I saw your post about the NovaMind integration, as well as the PM, but of course you gave me a broken link, so you failed horribly. But I've not yet had an opportunity to check it out, just because I've been so crazy busy.
Is it way too early to talk about polygon counts?
Yes.
Probably
Oh,
so.
absolutely.
Yes. No, stay
absolutely.
away.
I'm sorry, I'm so visual. Sorry about this.
I mean,
moving on to
we still have the giant discussion about the overall look. Photorealistic, cartoony, and of course, many people want to jump right on the photorealistic bandwagon. But if you get out there and you start looking at a lot of these little MMOs that are free to play but have microtransactions that are doing really well, they have they don't have photorealistic graphics. They have cartoony graphics that are fun and come play me because look how fun and cute I look, but yet with cool stuff to get involved with. So I mean, we've definitely.
We talked about the Hero Engine, and I have played Champions Online. It's free now. Own a little shameless plug. I used to work for those guys when they did pen and paper stuff, so I got to see them evolve. And if we can indeed do something like that, I think people want more options than maybe a set look of photorealism or a cartoony thing. I think it's a lot about options, and I can be wrong, but it's nice to be able to customize your character to the hilt.
Yeah, I do want to throw this in before it gets too far away, because NATO said he honestly doesn't see that fun and cute fits this idea. Well, first of all, if fun doesn't fit the idea, then we're screwed because nobody's going to want to play it. I do want to point that out. And then we go into a couple of other things where Prototype said, an outstanding comment to that, which is, photorealistic means less content, or, and I'll just finish the sentence for him, or a much higher budget for many more artists and much longer development times. Also, another thing that, I know, Mr. Prototype, you and I are on the same page, buddy. Another thing to keep in mind, World of Warcraft, while they have enhanced their graphics system,
it's still cute.
It's still cute itself. It's still cartoony, and there's a very important reason why. With their 12 to 14 million subscribers, it runs on most everything, computer-wise. Angie has a triple E PC that is the processor's just a joke in it, but with everything stripped down, World of Warcraft will run on it. You start getting into to high-end graphics, and now we're pushing higher shader models that the older cards can't handle. Not everybody sits at home with a $3,000 gaming rig these days that's cutting edge. And Lee got the privilege of seeing that himself because Lee does great artistic work. And when we started out with the MMO tech, Lee was having a blast shooting for photorealistic everything, right, Lee?
But just because I modeled out the Smithsonian to start with.
And it's like, well, Lee, how many frames are you getting? Well, I'm getting 28 frames per second right now. It's like, Lee, you're running on a quad-core godlike machine that's much more powerful than my recording station that I work at, and so.
Yeah, but it was photoreal, damn it.
Yeah, boy, these were some very interesting arguments that Lee and I had, because they were real arguments. Because Lee's thought was, well, damn it, if people want to play the game, they need to go out and buy new hardware, and that's not how people are. People, yes, I've seen games in the past that have made me want to go out and buy new hardware to play the game, but that is not your average person. Not to mention, your average people these days can't just afford to go out and drop thousands of dollars into a high-end gaming rig. Do we want a lot of people playing this, or do we want to limit it down to just your game nerds that have very expensive rigs? Yeah, you're elitist, which is already going to create a problem in itself.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that? You haven't had an opportunity to try playing a game with a bunch of assholes yet, Nelson. It's actually not a lot of fun. And if that was the only kind of community that was in the game, oh God, that would really suck. That's just my take.
Amen.
Sorry, Gavin. But anyways, you man, you'll find out how many assholes an MMO can have. So true.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, that's so true. Because it's all the 12-year-olds that, well, oh yeah, Nelson, he's not 12, but that have the high-end gaming rigs that, well,
But going back to some of your ideas, you were talking about how the players might be able to have their own area where they make and sell stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a phenomenal idea. Because, I mean, crafting and gathering, that's some really cool stuff, especially when you get into high-end quests. That you're going to need X, Y, and Z components. But I'm lazy. I don't want to go do all that crap. And if I could buy it from another person that was a little bit cheaper, not an auction house, maybe I could haggle with them. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, completely agree. And JJ just said player-run cities that can be taken and won in PvP. Like, we can't get into it because now we're stepping over the line. But I will say this: hell yeah, that has been discussed heavily during the MMO tech. End of story. All right, moving back to other things. Because that's the stuff that gets me excited. So now let's say that they've taken over.
Terrace-Fall Glades.
Terrace-Fall Glades, thank you. And so now your starting zone isn't there.
Yep.
Your starting zone is now somewhere else where you're now working with real players and NPCs and trying to take back the town that's being held. You're right, NATO. I better hush. Anyways.
Yes.
I get too excited, but yes, Mr. JJ, we've done some very serious talk, not just in what would be cool, but even architecture, code-wise, what we would need to do to do stuff like this, and damn, that would be fun. Anyway, so yeah, back to.
Just think about the guilds. I mean, you could actually hire soldiers and again transfer.
All right. Let's go ahead and we'll get to this soon enough. I promise. That we've actually given them a peek into some of the things that we have talked about that would be really cool, at least in my mind, in my vision for an MMO. But anyways, let's see. We've got about a minute left, and we're going to go ahead and close it down. We do need to get back with Nelson tonight. I do want to get those RavenDB videos recorded for you guys. That actually means a lot to me. Hopefully to some of you guys as well. Everybody say nice things to Nelson about having to do it as a WinForm app, because he
He needs it.
He needs it because I'm going to be listening to
Yay, Nelson.
30 minutes of sighs, I'm sure. But see, Nelson, look, they love you, man, and we love you. You do great stuff, and absolutely enjoy it.
Can we get a Nelson T-shirt on 3D Buzz, like just his head, like "We Love Nelson," something like that? I think that would be
with
great.
like an AK in his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say hello to my little friends.
But yeah, Nelson loves his guns. But anyways, anything else that anybody wants to say here in the closing minute? So Lee, right now you're just going to be fiddling around with stitching, I would assume.
Currently I'm looking at some overhang type stuff.
Oh boy.
At using a displacement map with it and see how hard it would actually be mathematics wise. Because if I were to even contemplate something like that, I'd need to know how that works before I do stitching. But I'll probably look at that a little bit and then give up and go on the stitching.
Okay, good. Because I'm personally interested in getting this past stitching into some basic vertice manipulation tools, and then getting a very basic network framework in place, and seeing you and I destroy some terrain at the same time. That's what I'm seeing. Anyways, all right. Well,
I think that'll wrap things up
yeah.
for us.
I guess that's going to wrap it up. Toastage does say, when do we get to play stuff? Oh, Toastage.
There's so much to say to that.
Other than, there you go. Andrew had the most awesome response. This is playing. I still want the tech demo. Q-Man, that means I'd have to actually stop working on what we're doing now to go back and finish the crap that we had started implementing. Because that actually... no.
All the tech demo is so 6 months ago.
I've got it so pieced together right now, and I'll still make you guys some videos, but then you're just going to be turned off because you're going to think that's the direction we're going. And I told you, we just went with a basic WoW type model for that.
And you can sing the song of the tech demo until the cows come home, but nobody's really going to pay attention. They're just going to be like, you'll write a post about it. The post will be too long. They won't read it. You'll talk about it. It'll be too long, and you'll lose their attention. So they'll play the game. And be like, oh, this is what we're making. I want to play this. No.
And Chipkiss, I don't know how to pronounce that. Asked if Chipsius asked if we used versioning, and we did. With that, we used for the server, we used Subversion, and for the client, we used the asset server from Unity. And I know I could roll back and all, but it's still talking about work, you know. So, anyways. I just want to take a moment and thank you guys for joining us tonight. Just blown away with how many of you stuck with us through this entire thing. The class meeting went way longer than I had anticipated it to go, but I do appreciate you guys hanging out with so much great
enthusiasm.
Yeah, going by in the IRC. It's been an absolute blast. I do have a question over here. I just happened to look over on the questions thing since we haven't really been using it. And Nathan Saylor asks, will we be working on a project plan? And the answer to that is yes. It will be, for those of you that are familiar with Scrum, that'll be the methodology that we're going to be using, and so that we can get into sprints and all of that stuff. Yeah, I think Scrum is absolutely awesome for software development, for being able to peg what features we're going to consider features that are going to be added to a sprint for a specific release, and then splitting or having multiple sprints across teams is going to be a lot of good as well. Raven, just Google Scrum. It's good stuff. But we've been working to finish answering Nathan's question. We've been working with Nelson on the application development with ASP.NET, and we've been designing a project management system that we're then going to turn around and use for the MMO class that's going to work in the Scrum world, if you will. and with a few of our own alterations added in as well. But one of the things that we've been very careful to do as we've discussed it and have been coding, and that is to make the system available to all of you member sponsors. As a matter of fact, hopefully this will, for those of you that do an awesome job at project management and stuff, we're going to give it to you in such a way that you can create your own projects for things that are unrelated to the MMO class as well. Just trying to add it in as a perk for a member sponsorship, which means that you could then literally bring your friends in who may be working or helping you work on a game that aren't member sponsors at 3D Buzz, but you could still give them their own accounts in your project that's being worked on. So, and the cool thing is it won't cost you any money. It's just going to be part of the 3D Buzz thing as a member sponsor. So it is something that we'll be using as well, and this is where we're going to be laying out all of the features and basically everything as we start going forward once that gets into place. And we're trying to make that happen sooner than later. There's a lot of things going on right now. I still want the R&D stuff going on so that you guys keep getting to see videos, and I am still getting excited by things Lee or Nelson or Zach shows me. Just it keeps everybody's spirits high and excited. So yeah, that's the plan. But to answer that question, and with that puts us at 1 hour and 35 minutes for this third segment. And SecFault says, what about doing our own R&D and sharing it with you guys? Yeah,
Absolutely,
SecFault, absolutely. So, yes, SegFault, what you need to do is master WebGL or however you want to handle drawing in a web app. And here's why I'm saying that. I'm throwing a challenge out your way, because one of the things that Zach and I really want to make and yeah, HTML5, absolutely. One of the things that Zach and I really want to see in our project management system is mind mapping. So, because it's so easy to sit down and just start quickly roughing out an outline, and an outline converts over easily to a mind map, and a mind map converts easily over to an outline, and we can have features all tied together so that present themselves in a way that flows with the mind map concept. It would just be an interesting way to view tasks and related topics, bugs, etc. So anyways, something for some of you guys to play with if you want to. So SegFault, stop throwing toasters at Gavin and start thinking about that. But that I don't care how you do it, SegFault. Talk with Nelson and give him hell and let him give you hell, and you guys just give each other hell. Yeah, that stuff. So anyways, that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks, guys. You guys have all been awesome, and I will make sure to post when we're going to do this again. It's very likely it won't be this week. We are pushing to get story done and some more of these videos coming out to you guys. So and as you see, this is a very big investment on all of our time. So as I said at the very, very beginning, we didn't know what our class meeting time was going to be like. We would just it would develop as we rolled forward. So who knows? Maybe this coming weekend we'll have another one. It just all depends. But I will make sure to let everyone know over in the forums, and we'll go from there. So thank you guys. You guys have all been amazing, and I will get these things encoded and get them posted for you as soon as I can. You guys all take care. We are out of here. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hey, guys.